Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Grab yourself a cup of tea and let's talk some boxing. Now, Dillian Whyte does want to fight Anthony Joshua next, and he doesn't believe that Usyk is a credible opponent compared to him for AJ to fight, and this is why. This is what he had to say. It's a dead fight. Usyk hasn't looked good. Who has he fought at heavyweight? Witherspoon? Chisora? He looked terrible. He has no punch power. Usyk is not a true heavyweight contender. So there we go, Dillian Whyte is clearly campaigning to get this Joshua shot. Now, of course, if Anthony Joshua were to fight Dillian Whyte, he would have to vacate his WBO world title. Now, considering how hard he fought to maintain that title so that he could go into a potential undisputed fight, I'm not believing that he's going to be willing to just give up the title outside of the ring. If he's going to lose those titles, it's going to be in the boxing ring, not outside. So having said that, I do fully expect the Usyk fight to happen, so I believe that that will be Anthony Joshua's next fight. Nevertheless, Dillian Whyte does want to take this opportunity if he can, and I believe that Dillian Whyte's doing the right thing. I don't believe he can wait for the WBC because based off of what we have seen over the past, I don't know, couple of years, what has given us any kind of indication that the WBC will get behind him and push his opportunity? Because if Dillian Whyte doesn't just take any opportunity he can to get a world title opportunity, then it's not going to happen, because time and time again the WBC have not given him his opportunity. So what makes us believe that they will give it to him next year? Now, what could happen with that WBC belt is obviously there will be a trilogy between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Now, what will happen if, say, Wilder wins? There will likely be a fourth fight, because are we expected to believe that Tyson Fury is going to go into that fight without a rematch clause in place? I mean, I don't want to see Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3, let alone Wilder versus Fury 4. I don't want to see it, but are we expected to believe that Tyson Fury is going to go into that kind of fight with that kind of danger that Wilder possesses? I mean, I know that Tyson Fury has outboxed him the first time but got a draw, then knocked him out the second time around, but still, there is always the possibility that Wilder lands that shot, and are we expected to believe that there's not going to be a rematch clause in place just in case that happens? So there could be the chance of Wilder versus Fury 4. Now, if Fury wins, which we do expect him to do, then what happens for him? Well, apparently he still wants to make undisputed, but I'm not entirely convinced that that will happen later this year, given what happened last time with those negotiations, announcing the fight saying it's on, then all of a sudden he's fighting at Deontay Wilder. I know that it wasn't officially announced, but Tyson Fury did come out and say this fight is now over the line and it's going to happen, but then all of a sudden he's getting back in with Wilder again. So given that, I cannot say I'm optimistic that Undisputed will ever happen. If it does not, then what does Fury do? Does he fight Dillian Whyte? Well, in the past he has shown zero interest in fighting Dillian Whyte, and it is because of that, and it is also because of the fact that the WBC do not give him his opportunity when he is due. That is the reason why Dillian Whyte is now more interested in going, say, the Anthony Joshua route. I believe that that's the best way to go for him, because if he does not do that, then where does he go? He has tried the WBC route, but look what has happened. I believe that Dillian Whyte's doing the right thing, going for whatever opportunity might come his way to just get a chance at a world title. You know what? One thing that is interesting, Dillian Whyte is currently looking for an opponent. Now, he could fight in America next, according to Eddie Hearn, but he could still fight in the UK. And Joe Joyce and Oleksandr Usyk will no longer happen for the interim world title. Now, Dillian Whyte is WBC interim world champion, so he cannot be ranked by another governing body with the IBF, the WBA, or the WBO, so he's not currently in those rankings because he is an interim champion with another governing body. One thing that could happen, if he were to vacate that title, now I know that that's not probably the best thing to do given he spent all of this time and put so much stock in going the WBC route, but if he were to vacate it, then get a ranking with the WBO, could he get an opportunity to fight Joe Joyce for the interim WBO title, then perhaps become mandatory to AJ through those means. Now I know that we could say that, okay, if Joe Joyce doesn't fight Usyk for the interim title or for potentially an eliminator now, because obviously Joe Joyce would only get the opportunity to fight for the interim title because he is ranked number 2 and Usyk needed something because he was mandatory and the WBO were giving him this as a step aside. But still, if that were to be the case, would they not go down the rankings? Well, ranked number 3 by the WBO is Joseph Parker. Now, according to Eddie Hearn, he is undergoing surgery on one of his elbows or something like that. That's a shame for Joseph Parker. That's an injury he's had before as well. So that could be a bit worrying for Joe Parker, but still, with Dillian Whyte, he could get that chance because Joe Parker is number 3. Number 4 is Deontay Wilder. So, I mean, Ruiz is number 5, I believe. Ruiz is ranked number 5 by the WBO. And of course, they could go down to him. But you have to wonder if Dillian Whyte was to vacate that WBC interim title, where would he come? I would put him above Andy Ruiz. I'm not sure whether the WBO would. I would imagine so, given his last fight was a win over Povetkin, and Ruiz's was a close decision win over Areola. So if you factor that in, maybe he has a better shot going that route, and the same perhaps with the IBF, with Filip Hrgovic looking and struggling for an opponent for his IBF eliminator to see who is mandatory to AJ's IBF belt. Now, I know this situation is currently that the WBO mandatory is being called, and that will be Usyk. So if Whyte vacates and goes for that WBO route, then he's going to be waiting for a while for that shot. Same with the IBF, because AJ just dealt with his IBF mandatory, Kubrat Pulev. Given that, does that mean that Dillian Whyte's going to be waiting even longer if he vacates the WBC than he would if he stayed on that route? Well, it's not an easy decision to make, but given what we have seen in the past, how much more stock does he want to put in getting a WBC world title shot? If it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. It hasn't as of yet. He was number 1, and Dominic Brazil was called as mandatory, ranked number 4. How does that happen? It does make you wonder if Dillian Whyte would be better cutting his losses and going a different route. That is why he is talking about an AJ fight, because he knows that he can get a world title shot if he does that, but it's going to be difficult to get a WBC champion in the ring with him. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks, guys.